And we are live, and boy, do we have a real treat for everyone this week. Our very own, two, may I say, of our very own. We have Jason Sloan and Kyle. Say
Hey, everybody.
hi. We are so excited to have you as our guest today, Kyle. We are very pleased to learn so much about what it is that you do, why you are part of this company, and obviously a little bit of background, personal background, if that can be implied here. So we're excited. Say hi, you guys. Introduce yourselves. Let's learn a little bit about each other today.
I'm Jason, in case you haven't been watching the shows for the last year.
I'm Kyle. I'm never on the show, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm not that interesting. Elizabeth,
Oh.
you're overselling me by a lot. So
You're so modest. You're so
well,
modest. I've heard great wonders about you. I've also seen other interviews that you've been on. So
I have one particular skill, and I rode it. I rode that horse till it's just tired, but it's still working.
good deal. Good deal. Okay. So first thing, I know that you've been in business for over 35 years, and that is quite a long time. So what do you feel has been the most exciting part of being in the business for all these 35 years? What has kept you going till now?
Well, initially, I was just a kid. I needed money to buy beer. So I had some friends that were doing roofing, so I became a roofer because they seemed to have money to buy beer. So it made sense.
Right.
And I never imagined it'd be a career, but it like lots of things, I suppose, you get into it and it just expands and grows. You become older and wiser and smarter and all kinds of stuff that it becomes before you know it, you're looking back in your 20 years or 25, or in this case, 35 years of in the roofing industry, one way or the other. So the most exciting thing, that's kind of it's changed over the course of the time, it used to be the most exciting thing was having enough money to buy beer. Now, these days, the most exciting part is being able to help contractors, to being able to help, because I have a real passion and a heart I was them. So I understand the challenges and problems they face, and trying to help them to overcome those things and be successful. Because this is it's a very valid, noble profession, it's raised 4 kids for me, 2 of them in college. So it's a great career if you make it into that. I'd like to see more and more contractors do that, or be successful and do well for themselves and their families. So that's
Right.
the most exciting thing for me now.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to shine a little bit of light to a few comments that we have on here. We have Monse saying hi. Hi, Monse. Thank you for watching us. We have Blake. His question is, what's your selling model?
Selling model. Well, I'm not sure what Blake is referring to, because selling model, for us, it's not we are a service company for contractors at this point. So our selling model is different than, I don't know what reference points he's coming from, but our idea is to get in and help contractors in one way or another through relationships, back office stuff, whatever, to make sure that they're making the margin that they're supposed to. So that's if you call it a selling model, that would be our selling model.
Okay, thank you for answering that. Okay, my next question is referencing your experience, because I know it's not just that you've been in the contracting business. You also have experience with insurance claims, correct?
Yes, I have a bit of experience with insurance claims as well. Going way back, again, I used to be a laborer, roofer on the roof, so dealing with other contractors that were doing insurance claims, doing the work for them. And then, of course, I got into contracting. And initially, I wasn't a big fan as a contractor, of doing insurance claims, even though my wife kept, always tried to push me. Why aren't we doing this? And I saw, like many of my brethren, that doing insurance claims was sort of like ambulance chasing, quote unquote ambulance chasing, as it were. But I grew out of that and realized that these are things that need to get taken care of. That people get damaged from storms, and their insurance companies should be indemnifying them or taking care of them in a manner that's appropriate and fair. And
Right.
so, as a contractor, that was the thing that I was the most passionate. Once I really got into doing insurance claims, that's what I became the most passionate about making sure that my customers, I was getting paid, but I was getting paid so that my customers could get the job done the way it was supposed to be done, get done right, to code, all the things that I wanted to do as a contractor anyway. I wanted to do the job right. I didn't want to be, it doesn't seem fair that the insurance company inserts themselves in there and through underpaid claims drives the quality and the job that their consumer, the insurer, the homeowner, is getting, because they're the ones holding the checkbook. That's not, at the end of the day, all of the money that's in the insurance world comes from the consumers. They pay the cost of the premium. So it's really their money that's getting spent. They give it to the insurance companies for a time to hold on to try to earn some money on it, invest, whatever they do, whatever insurance companies do. But it really belongs to the consumers, not necessarily insurance companies. So, the insurance companies have a bit different take on it than that.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Okay.
Did that answer your question?
So
Absolutely.
Blake clarified his question. He said, "What characteristics define your best contractor partners? Why is this?" And we're going to talk about that, so I guess we can just get into that.
Sure, I'd love that question. What characteristics? I mean, that's a multifaceted question. But for me personally, I like contractors that, again, are really, really, they really want to take care of their customers. That's the passion and the thing that drives them. The ones that are there to make sure the job's getting done right. That's what they want to do. Because I believe that if your motivation is something more like that, or in my case, trying to help contractors, then the rewards will come. If you're getting into contracting just because you want to you want to make $1 billion or $1 million or even $100,000, it is a job for sure. You can get paid just like any other job. But I think if you don't have the passion for taking care of your customers and you don't have pride in what you're doing, and by I mean pride, you've got to want to do a better job, that kind of thing. So that's in my opinion, that's the best kind of contractor, somebody who's driven by those same principles. But in the same token, I also completely understand that our industry is there's very few that, like me these days, that came from actual labor, that actually did the work. Most of the contractors out there were salesmen or just business people in general. So maybe they've got a little bit different initial drive, and hopefully they can adapt some of the things that I'm talking about to, because that's what's going to drive them to success as well. That's always in contracting. That's it. If you really want to be successful, come hell or high water, you have to take care of your customers. That's what you do. If you don't do that, you're going to fail. Even if you may have a good year, and Lord knows I know a bunch of contractors that you can, especially in the insurance restoration or industry, a blind squirrel with no sense of up or down is going to find some nuts sometimes. So you can do well, but you're not going to have a sustainable company, because there's going to come years when that same squirrel couldn't find a nut if it fell right on his ass. So so it's those principles are you can get in a contract and maybe not address those initially, but you're going to have to do that if you want to have sustainable business. Did that answer Blake's question? Blake, was that more like it?
We hope to get a response from him soon.
Yeah, but I mean, to go along with that, you're going to have the most successful companies, and some guys, they just get in it to make money. But, we deal with a lot of these guys and we're teaching them stuff, where they're, well, I didn't do it this way. I didn't do this. So we kind of give them best practices for their company. Blake said, thank you. So I guess that answered his question. But, you want to make sure given best practices, because unfortunately, most of these guys that learn it from somebody else, and sometimes it's a good teacher and sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes they've left that company because they weren't getting paid properly. They close out a job and there'd be a $5 item that Mrs. Smith didn't pay for, and they were getting their whole commission held back. That's not right. You got all your money but $5. Why are you holding all his commission money? That's not the way to run your business. So we kind of we do a lot of coaching with the contractors we work with, and kind of, best practices and how to be an ethical business person.
One of my father-in-law shared he used to be a contractor in Pennsylvania. Now he's up in Silt, Colorado, as a contractor. But he one day he told me a very important lesson that he's learned, and I've tried to. This has been one of my mantras when I was a contractor. These are people. They're customers or people. So like every other person, you're going to run into some people that are just a complete PIA. So they're and they're just difficult. They're never gonna. You're probably never going to get along. People are just after the contractor to get the cheapest to take advantage of the contractor itself. And he taught me that the only way you ever win in those circumstances is you just make sure that, at some point it's not about making money anymore, because you're not going to make money on this person. It's about the only way you win is to make sure that they can't say that they're not satisfied, regardless. So, and within reason, you do what you need to. You ask them what else can I do to get this, to make this right. And if it's not rebuild their whole house, it's something that's has any resemblance of reasonableness. You just do it, even though you're maybe not making any money, then just to make them happy, just so that they can't say, well, that he didn't work to get me satisfied. That's right. I think that plays into the theme we're talking about here. And when I was a contractor, I tried to adopt that. I have an example. I had a roof that was 3 tabs was what was there before. 3 tabs are a type of shingle, and I put 3 tabs back on. And unfortunately, when you put 3 tabs, sometimes the felt underneath, if there's a little wrinkle in it, it shows through the shingles. And the homeowner asked me about why is the roof kind of wavy, and I knew what had happened. And I could have just went in and replaced, took some shingles out, put some stuff in, but I knew they were always going to look at it from a critical eye. And so my solution was, we're just going to start over. We're just going to take this thing off, and we're going to put it on. We're going to put dimensionals on. We're going to make it perfect and beautiful at no additional cost to you, of course. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You have to be willing to do that, and it will pay off. Those little efforts, and again, in my opinion, are the things that set contractors apart. And I never regret those kind of things. I never did regret them, because that was one of my best referral sources ever. I mean, they just told everybody. So that's again, contractors are contractors like that, but I want to help all of them, and give them my little. I'll share. Contractors will tell you. I will tell them my opinion, and they may take it or leave it or hate it or whatever it is. So that's fine. I'm going to tell them the truth from my perspective.
Good. It sounds like passion and purpose go hand in hand for you in this industry.
Yes, that's very true.
Just what's needed. Just what's needed. Thank you for passing that along the way. Awesome. And now let's get a little bit into FLS. How did FLS come to be? Because I know you both go back. Y'all have been friends for a while now. So how did FLS get started?
I'll take this as well. So Jason and I, worked many moons ago at the same company. I was kind of the general manager, and he came on as sales. I forget what were you doing before that?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing. He was doing nothing. So he came on as sales. Anyway, I recognized in Jason that he was pretty motivated, pretty big go-getter. Wasn't, he would do what he needed to have success. And so out of that, after I got my own company going, I approached Jason at some point and said, "Hey, do you want to come over and deal with the insurance, do the supplements for me?"
No, I was doing sales for you,
and
you needed help with supplements. Okay. You were like these guys like this, like, what am I going to do? And I said, well, let's just show me how to do it and I'll help you. And from there, I started, whenever I was basically supplementer and general manager. Whenever he left town, I took care of everything. So if we had to go set a ladder, nobody was available, I did it just like he would do, type of thing. And then we had set up a supplement company and we were helping other contractors, and we had went our separate ways, but we were dealing with a lot of stuff with David with Furtado Law. And he had said, you guys document files correctly, I can actually litigate on these. Half of these other files, we go through all this paperwork and there's so much stuff missing, we can't do anything. Because David doesn't like to go to litigation on files that there's not a chance in hell to win. There has to be a reason to do the litigation. The insurance, if they paid correctly, why are you suing them? If they took forever to pay and all these things, okay, there's a reason. But if you're getting paid really good money and you're still suing the insurance company, that just means you're greedy. And it's going to come out in court, and he knows this. And so that's kind of where this idea came from, is how about if we document the files and put them in the ones that do need to go to litigation, at least they're set up correctly.
That's a pretty good summary, yeah. And we saw the opportunity to partner, or get involved with David and start FLS, because the need was there. That if you do this thing right to begin with, then you don't need litigation. That was the whole point of FLS, was let's try to avoid litigation. If we get involved from the very beginning, before things get too messy and chaotic, then there probably will never be a need for litigation. And it's turned out to be true. It's not, but having that, having the FLS name, Furtado Law Solutions, adds some gravity when we are dealing with the insurance companies. They treat us differently than they would just a typical contractor, because they recognize that there's a little more to this. And at the same time, everything we're putting out is ethical and above board anyway. That's the other thing. The other part of this is we're not, everything that we present to the insurance company is going to be truthful and honest. And that's again, in my opinion, that's the way it should be. We're not putting stuff out there that's not getting done just for the sake of, just because we can. We try to be above board about what's needed and why it's needed. Talk about the reasons why this contractor needs to get paid for this or whatever it might be, and then give them real solid, valid reasons why this needs to be taken care of and why they should owe for this. And those kind of things are what leads to success and keeps everything out of litigation. Not trying to. If you're trying to pull a fast one on the insurance company, you're going to win sometimes. Sometimes it's going to happen. You're going to hit that home run, but it's not sustainable. It doesn't work day to day. You're just riding in between the big hits, which just don't happen enough. And plus it's just not, it's just not a way to have a sustainable situation, because it's for everybody. It doesn't work for the insurance companies. It gives the industry a black eye. It doesn't work for anybody. It doesn't work for the consumers. The person that benefits from that is the salesman who got that $15,000 check because the insurance company way overpaid because nobody told them they were getting ripped off, as it were. So
and when I meet with the contractors, originally, we're going over their numbers, seeing where they're at. Obviously, a contractor in Alaska or some of the other northern states, they're not able to work as much as contractors. Even in Colorado, we can pretty much work year round. We have years where there's area times where we'll have a bad snowstorm and we can't work for a couple of weeks, but that's not very often. But most of the lower states, you're able to work most of the year. So most companies were able to use a 40% gross margin. So that's after labor and materials. Now there may be somebody there in some specialty market where they need more than that for some reason. Say, and there's guys. We're working with a guy putting together some stuff. They haven't had a good storm since last year, but in New York, and his budget for marketing was $500,000 to do 5 million. So one of the things I talked to him about was about the fact that, okay, do you still need to spend that much to do that, or was that because you were just getting going and the gusto? Kind of like with most businesses, startups, in roofing, if you're door knocking, your cost is a lot less. But if you're doing Facebook ads and everything else, phone marketing, it's expensive. It's not cheap. When me and him were going, we were just door knocking. That's all it was door knocking and referrals. There wasn't all of this. Facebook was around, but it wasn't what it is now, and people weren't using it like they are.
Well, I would add to that, though. That guy, who I don't know who he is, but marketing is certainly part of running the business.
Exactly.
So if a contractor has a huge marketing presence, that is part of his cost, and insurance. If I get into the weeds on insurance, insurance tries to predicate what they're going to pay based on a software program that does its best to hit the middle of the market. Exactly. But the middle of the market means that there's people up here on this side of the higher than that, and there's people lower. All of them are in the market. So if this guy is spending $1 million on marketing, and that's part of his cost, but he still fits within the market range that is out there, then he should be getting paid more than this guy over here spending nothing on marketing. There's no crime or foul in this guy getting more money because he has more cost.
And I told him that. I also said, let's look at your budget for this stuff and see, because it's sometimes you just spending money, and then when you look at it, you're like, why did I spend money on this? So it was just to double check with him on that. So that way it was, hey, if that's what you're spending, if that's what you spend half every year to get to your numbers, then that's how it is, but they were more of, they just started. So that was their big push. So, I was just checking into that, but knowing those numbers, most people, that 40%, everything lies in there. But like I said, you may be in a very competitive market and door knocking doesn't work, and you're spending a bunch of money on marketing. And if we have those expenses, we can build that in to get you your correct margins. But if we don't know the information from you, we're going to shoot you at 40%. So you're making 40%. We're making our percentages, and our fees. Our goal is so that way they're not affecting your bottom line. Whereas there's a lot of supplement companies out there. They're like, yeah, we'll get you all these extra stuff. And when they don't, they go, well, I'm sorry, I tried my best. But they're not actually looking at your numbers and what you need, because of the fact that myself and Kyle come from the contracting standpoint. It's not just, we always get asked with these guys, how much is your average extra? Well, it just depends. In Denver, a couple of years ago, we were getting paid what we should, other than missing items. So it wasn't the same. Whereas we have other markets where people are making 10%, not the 40%. So those ones, we get a lot more. So there's our whole goal is to get everybody paid properly. It's just a different way of looking at it compared to what everybody's used to. It's like, think about when Elon Musk came out with, the electric car and all this stuff. Everybody's like, no. Now, a lot of people are considering, I might look at getting an electric car, because there's ways, there's stations all over to charge it and everything else. When it first came out, it was like, what do you do when you get stuck, right?
Right.
We answered that question, and that's what we're working on doing for our clients and potential clients, is we're answering those questions. It's, let's get you the numbers where you're at. It doesn't matter how much extra. Hey, if we get you where you're supposed to be at, and every once in a while there's a bad file, okay, we're going to deal with those too. And every once in a while you're going to get those loser files that they have no code upgrades. It's an ACV only, and it's a very tough decision you got to deal with Mrs. Smith and say, hey, unfortunately, you're in a very bad policy. And sometimes there's no, if you're looking and there's nothing to do on the house, like there's no extra trades that would help take care of anything for her, it's going to be like, okay, do I have the money to help her out, or do I have to help her with financing, or how do we make this work? Sometimes you have to walk away from those situations. It's hard, but if you don't have the bandwidth to do that, I mean, if you do, make a commercial out of that. Hey, she had this insurance and these were the issues with it, and so we helped her out. Fortunately, we're a big enough company that we were able to help her out with this, or something like that. I mean, they do those all the time on the news where somebody got their insurance check stolen from somebody and some bigger company steps up and then they get free publicity. So it's good publicity. You just need to make sure you capitalize on it if you have money to deal with that.
Gotcha. And just really quick, if anyone who's watching us, if you need any help with supplementing, with estimates, these two gentlemen are the experts that you want to have on your side. So make sure that you give us a call. So next question, Kyle. I get this question asked all the time, and I'm very curious to know what your standpoint is. What really sets apart for Total Loss Solutions from all the other supplementing services that are, available nowadays? Because there's so many of them.
Well, the primary difference is kind of Jason kind of spoke to it a little bit, but our approach, our metrics for success has nothing to do with the amount of that we increase the claim by. I mean, I say this all the time and numerous times on Facebook Live things. If I increase the claim by $50,000 and take it from $20,000 to $70,000, but at $70,000 you're still only making a 15% gross margin, I don't know that I've helped you. I've got a whole bunch more money added to the claim, but you may have been better off to not do anything at all. And that's so. Our metrics for success isn't about how much we increase the claim, because that is irrelevant in the end. It's about if you're making money, if you're hitting your margin. That's the important part to us. It's the only thing that's important to us is how much are you actually making a reasonable amount of profit on the job, because nothing else matters. That's the only thing that matters. So that's, as far to my knowledge, we're the only supplement company at all that even asks, inquires, or cares about how the contractor is coming out in the job. We don't close a file. When we get new customers or new clients, that's one of the first things we talk about is where do you need to be? Jason's talking about, the guy in New York that has the marketing, whatever. We find out what your margin needs to be in order to have a sustainable, profitable company. And that's going to be the target that we shoot for is you're going to give me this number, 40%, 42%, whatever it is. And if we're lower than that number that you've told us, then we're going to call you before we close the file, because that's all we care about. That is how we decide if we're going to close the file or not. If we hit your margin, then we'll close the file. Everybody's happy, right? Hopefully everybody's happy. And that is the difference. There's nobody else that does that I know of that even gets involved. It takes a lot more effort to get that involved with the contractor and understand their business a little bit and what their needs are and why. But I think that, my experience would tell me that is the thing that's really important. That is the thing that we all need to focus on. And it's also the thing to talk to the insurance company. I've been maybe the lone voice out there, between contractors and insurance companies talking about, hey, in my perfect world, what would happen is contractors would just pay to get the stuff done, material and labor, whatever it is. We turn that over to the insurance company, and then we talk about what the markup should be over the actual cost, and decide what that number is. That to me is the way the industry should be settled. That's the way the insurance company, whether they know it or not, the software that they depend on to tell them what to pay, that's exactly what it's based on. It's a cost plus software. So if we can't, as an industry, we can't address that question or answer that proficiently. Like, why do you need? I can't go to Jason and say, hey, Jason, why do you need another $30,000 to do this job? And if he can't tell me, then why in the hell does he get it? Why should he ever get it? If he can't tell me, Kyle, he can say, Kyle, well, because I have this, I have the people, the labor and materials. I have, I have Elizabeth that's working in my office and running all this stuff. I got to pay her. I got to pay the rent, all these things. If he can't really document why he needs more, then in my opinion, he doesn't deserve it. And that's what we that's a lot about what we do is we find those things out, and then because of the experience that I've had, I can put that in a form that the insurance companies can then understand a little bit too. You've got to be able. It's more than just knowing those things. It's being able to communicate it to the insurance companies in a way that they'll even listen to. Because they don't understand how their programs work either. They're just somebody higher up is telling them, you can't pay more than this number. Doesn't matter what they say. Any contractor's asking for more than that, they're just trying to rip everybody off, which is so far from the truth. It's ridiculous. But if I can take the information and repackage it in a way that uses the way the insurance companies look at things, that's how I can be very effective. Is try to take what they're already accepting and giving, and then and use that to show them why what we're saying fits within their model, and this is why you need to pay more. And it's an amazingly effective way to approach it. But very few of any. I don't know anybody else that even tries to think of it that way. People that I've known for a long time is that I've been called before that I was just kind of crazy to even think about that, but it's been very effective, and it is, I think, for the most part, it's the way that once you really explain it to people, everybody gets it. Anybody can get that. You don't have to be an insurance expert to understand. Elizabeth, for instance, you got to get up in the morning, go to work. You've got to pay this rent. You got all these things you have to pay, so you know what you need to get paid, right? Plus, you want to put some money away from savings. So anybody can understand that concept, that this is the cost, and then this is why I need more. We got to have some problem. We got to have some left over. So next year, just in case we don't get the same amount of business, we have enough to keep, Elizabeth employed. That's really important. You having a job is incredibly important. You've got, you got children to support, whatever, those are things that are important as well. And we need to be looking out for all of that all goes into the equation. It should go into the equation, quite frankly.
So. Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much for that response. I am sure so many of us can get so much value from what you are just sharing. And gentlemen, I think we're going to need a part 2 on this. There's so many questions. I'm sorry. There just needs to be, and there's not enough time. But I think that for today, that just about concludes it. Any parting words, advice that you guys would like to give out to our viewers? I mean, apart from everything expressed so far.
I guess I would say, don't fight with what the insurance company is telling you. A lot of times the adjusters, he's actually on your side. He's trying to help you, but he needs certain things to pay you correctly. So if he needs more pictures to pay for those flashings and whatever, get those. And maybe you didn't get it this time, but learn that from the next one. And I mean, that's part of our checklist is all that stuff, stuff that we know over the years from dealing with this for so long. Get these pictures so that way we can get these items paid for. Does it work every time? No. Sometimes you get these knuckleheads and but overall, if you give them a full package, I mean, it's not as hard. And they're actually, from what I've been told by our supplementers, we're getting more and more insurance carriers that are understanding who we are and how we work. And they're asking us, okay, what's the number? And so that way it's not this back and forth. It's like, okay, you've showed us why you need to get this. What's the end number? And so some contractors were doing supplements on the front end, so it could change a little bit and we can let them know that. But we can, if we already have all their costs, their invoices for the materials, labor, permits, everything, we can say, okay, this is where we need to be at. And we might be, the estimate's at 40,000 and it's at 37 is the number. And if they say yes, then it's like In-N-Out Burger. It's not always that case, but it's getting more and more. Is that correct, Kyle?
Yeah, and piggyback on that, you're absolutely right. The insurers, contractors tend to get into, I don't want to say wars, but they tend to not be, they tend to see insurers as the enemy or as the foe, which is just not true. I mean, they have the checkbook, and yes, they're for-profit companies, and they want they want to protect their bottom line and make as much money as possible. But that is the American way. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that. I don't behold them not making profit as well. They deserve to make profit too. So in that realm, giving them what they want, is it's so much easier just to give them what than try to fight them and tell them why they shouldn't have this. Get them what they want. I don't care what our company's about full disclosure. We'll give them whatever. I'll give them, I tell the contractors, we'll give them your cost invoices because I can have that legitimate argument or discussion about why, even though you only spent $7,000, you need $15,500 to make this claim reasonable. And so it's much easier to just, if there's something they need, get it for them, and then you can get over that. So if you're not using some company, if you're just doing it yourself, just don't fight that. They're billion-dollar behemoths, so it doesn't matter. They're not going to change their ways for you or for me or for anybody else. They are going to do it the way they do it, and it's just easier to try to get along and give them what they need so they can get you paid.
Makes total sense. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I appreciate greatly you being a part of this today and being here with us, answering so many of these questions. And for anyone that needs any help with supplements, you can call or text 720-296-6618, or you can email Jason at furtadolaw.solutions. Well, it is a true pleasure to be a part of this ongoing team. And thank you both for being here today. We will catch you all next week, same time, same place.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you both. Bye, everyone.